back to Mexico Daily Review. I'm Ana Maria Salazar, and joining us here in our studios is John Eckerman. If you listen to Imagen News regularly, you will know exactly who John Eckerman is. And if you read the LA Times, The Nation, you will know exactly who I'm talking about. You probably are one of the people who most publishes op-ed pieces about Mexico in U.S. Newspaper. John, welcome to the show.
Hi, Ana Maria. A pleasure as always to talk with you. It's great to be on participate in this new project, this Mexico Daily News stuff. This is really important to have a bilingual, Mexico-U.S. connection. We gotta keep doing this stuff.
I think it's important because I'm not too sure what's going to happen tonight, but I do think we're going to be talking about this election for quite a while. What have you heard up until now? Because I've been walking around. We're both broadcasting live. We're both at the Federal Electoral Institute broadcasting from an Excelsior site. And we're hearing there's kind of different information out there. What have you heard?
Well, let's talk about first before today, what the situation was or is. There has been a large amount of accusations, mutual accusations between the different political parties, and in particular accusations against the PRI for going over the campaign spending limits, for purchasing votes, and for otherwise committing irregularities. Right?
But we've got to say it's also, it's all three of them.
Sure.
Has also been
of course. This is not something that is exclusive territory of the PRI. Obviously, the PAN and the PRD have been doing this as well.
It depends on the state.
Depends on where you are. Well, all I can say is that a bunch of tech experts put together a webpage called contamos.org.mx. It was a great story by Univision News yesterday about that site. And they have been up for about a month, and 80% of the reports have been against the PRI. Now this just makes sense because the PRI has the most money, they control the most state governors, and they're the ones sort of most excited about or concerned about winning, right? And the PRD, of course, goes into this as well, but
also where you would find most complaints about the PRD, which would be in Mexico City, but their candidate for mayor is doing extraordinarily well.
Exactly.
He may win with very, very high numbers.
That's the other point about this election, which is very important to note, which is it's not just a presidential election. This is a simultaneous election in 15 states, 6 governorships, including Mexico City. These are the largest and most important elections in entire modern Mexican history. We've never had so many positions up for play,
up for
grabs in the last decades, as far as I can remember, and this is a result of the electoral reform. And so this adds an different element because we have the local elections, which are very intense, combined with the federal election. And so that's what makes it so interesting. And a new electoral law.
Rules are different for the federal candidates than for the local and state candidates. So that, I think, is something that they're going to eventually have to.
Exactly. The most important innovation is the issue of the emblems of each one of the parties. Right. And now they're separate. Before, when you had a coalition between different parties, they would have one place where you could vote for that coalition. And now, if a candidate is supported. I think that there are still some worrisome numbers out there. For instance, the IFE, the last formal report of the IFE was at 10 o'clock. They were talking about 100,000 out of the 143,000 casillas which have been set up. This is a low number. This is about 2/3 of the casillas. I hope that this will change over the next hour or so. The IFE is going to give its new report at 1:30. I hope we'll get a 95, 98% number then. That would be good news. There have been some reports of...
We have to tell our audience why that's important is because if there is at the end of the day 25, I believe it's 20% of
25%.
25% of the ballot sites for whatever reason do not open, you start having problems with certifying the elections.
Well, it's automatic, actually.
Yeah.
If more than 25% of the casillas have serious irregularities, one of those serious irregularities is, for instance, it never opened.
Right.
That means that the election is automatically annulled.
Right.
But even if you have 10 or 15%,
Right.
that doesn't automatically annul the election, but it does create serious concerns about the legality of the election.
Right.
6 years ago, only 100 or 200 maximum casillas were not installed. I mean, these numbers need to be up near 99% in order for, at the end of the day, us to be able to say that this was a perfectly clean election.
Right. Now, what as we're looking forward to today, tomorrow, and the next week, there has been a lot of information going through Twitter, and we've got to say, I mean, and I know I've had these huge arguments with people in terms of how important is Twitter or not for this election. It's important for, it may be a small group of people, but it's very important for that smaller group of people in terms of mobilizing them. And as we are looking through some of the information that's coming through Twitter, they're talking about there has been hacking some of the political party sites. Your site was hacked. Is that correct?
Yes, this is it's not my site. I'm promoting it, and I think it's a great initiative. The site of contamos.org.mx has actually been under assault all week, but they hadn't successfully knock it down. And this morning they did. Someone somewhere feels uncomfortable about a site which is reporting vote buying and other kind of electoral irregularities, and it was off air for about an hour and a half, 2 hours this morning, and so. Yes, there is a certain tension in the air. And Twitter, what's the importance of it? Well, I would say that Twitter is just as important as the newspapers, right?
Or radio,
newspapers,
or
what percentage of the Mexican population reads newspapers?
Right.
5%, perhaps. But these are people who are leaders in their communities, who talk to their friends and families, who have, and so that's a really important thing. And so, just a little anecdote. Today, I was coming out of my casilla, and there was a car sitting right in front of the entrance to the casilla with propaganda from a political party, from the Free. And I said, well, do you know this is illegal to be doing propaganda outside? There were 5 large, burly men. They yelled insults at me and sort of moved the car towards me. And I took out my cell phone and started taking pictures. And they quickly went away. They are aware that with Twitter and these kinds of things, a cell phone turns into a really powerful citizen instrument to defend legality.
And you know what's going to be extraordinary tomorrow and the next days is that we're going to be getting a lot of information of what's going on at local level. In fact, what we are doing right now, John, we couldn't have done it 6 years ago.
Sure.
We are streaming live. We're a very small outfit, but we're trying to provide information on a kind of on a regular basis. That's what's going to happen today, and more importantly, we can move around, and the technology allows us to provide that information. So I hopefully will have the opportunity to talk later on as we're getting some of the breaking news.
Of course.
And as we find out what is going on and how many of these casillas are finally available. So you'll join us later today?
Of course. A pleasure and an honor as always, Ana Maria.
Okay, thank you so much, John Ackerman, and thank you all. I'm signing off. I'm Ana Maria Salazar, and we will be providing you another update in approximately half an hour. Don't go away.